Okay, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we'll be discussing the International Student Basics for on-campus students. To start off, we wanted to just introduce ourselves. We are the international student team that you'll be working with. So I'm Liddy Barbrick. I'm the DSO here. I'm the Senior Admissions Counselor, and I'll mainly be working with students when you're working on your application or have your application completed and you're waiting to receive your admissions decision before handing it off to Stephen. And I've been with UWS for about 2 years now.
Hi, I'm Stephen Glass. I'm the Director of Outreach and Partnerships. I've been with UWS for 5.5 years. And I'm currently the DSO. I'm one of the DSOs here in the admissions department, and essentially I will be helping you with your student visa, both in talking to you about the requirements and then helping you and issuing you your I-20 student visa before coming here to UWS.
Okay, I'm Gretchen Potter, and I'm a Student Success Advisor in the Office of Student Success, and I'm the PDSO at UWS. The PDSO is the Principal Designated School Official. So I'm going to be working with you mostly once you're here, and you'll meet me at Welcome Day, and that's kind of when Lydia and Stephen hand you off to me, and I will be helping you maintain your visa. But today I'm joining because I also take care of provincial aid for the Canadian students, and I'm here to address the provincial aid questions and concerns.
Great, perfect. So briefly, we just wanted to touch on the student experience at UWS. We have a great community, lots of different clubs on campus. We have a fitness center, meditation room. There's free tutoring, which you can always ask Gretchen questions about if you have any questions on that. But just some great resources and clubs on campus to have that sense of community. There are also the campus clinic where you'll spend lots of time in as a student, other options to add a master's degree like sports medicine. So lots of different fun things to highlight here and a great community on campus we wanted to touch on briefly before moving on to another important area, which is international scholarships that University of Western States offers. So we have the Northern Advantage Scholarship, which is available to Canadian international students. So this would be a 25% off discount for tuition specifically. So great discount here. And then there's also the Global Wellbeing Scholarship, which is available for non-Canadian international students, which is a 20% off discount for the cost of tuition. So this makes you coming to Portland, moving, relocating, starting your journey as a chiropractic student a lot more achievable. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to admissions counselor or go to here on our website to see the scholarship page.
All right, so provincial aid you is going to look a little different for you coming to University of Western States than it did when you may have been studying in Canada, because we're outside of Canada, you will get the money sent directly to you, and then you use that money to pay tuition at UWS rather than money coming from the province directly to UWS. I've listed the codes that you need for when you're filling out your provincial aid application and the start and end dates. Those are common amongst all the province applications, but each province is different. And then a note for those of you studying and using that are coming from BC and are using a student aid BC for your aid, do answer yes to the question of online or hybrid programming. Student aid BC kind of has a strange definition of online. So any program with any online classes counts as online for them. So do answer yes there. It doesn't change anything because we still are an on-ground program primarily, but it does save you some steps. So if you say no, there's some extra steps and it will take longer for your aid to get processed there. Send any provincial aid forms to me at dso@uws.edu. That stands for Designated School Officials, and that's our general email for international student questions. So you'll be using it for other things as well, but initially with your provincial aid questions, and any forms you need to have filled out, send there. What does come up sometimes is that there's questions about when can I get my enrollment verified? Because I think a lot of times once you get that enrollment verified, you get a pause on your student loans. At least that's what I've heard from previous students. Problem is, I can't do enrollment verification until much closer to the start of term. So I can't start verifying now. It's not a verification of admissions, it's a verification of enrollment. So for most provinces, I can typically start that about 3 weeks before the term starts and once you're registered for classes. But for BC, typically I cannot do any of those until the first day. BC will give a date on the form when I can fill that out, and I can't do it earlier than that. So I know it can be a little rough because that can delay some processing, but I do move on them as quickly as I'm allowed to.
Great, perfect. Then we'll move on to the student visa process, some helpful information to know.
All right. So first, I think it's worth noting this is not an exhaustive overview of the process and the requirements for obtaining your student visa. More, it's just to give you an idea of what goes into it. As you are accepted, we ask that you have a full consultation with me, so that I can go through each step with you and really support you through the whole process. So again, this is just a 30,000-foot view of what is expected. So first, I'd like to say that UWS is approved to issue I-20 certificates of eligibility for F1 student visas. F1 status is a type of non-immigrant visa granted to students who wish to study in the United States at an an accredited academic program. Essentially, there are other types of student visas, but being that UWS's programs are academic-based, we issue the F1 visa. Now, the I-20 Certificate of Eligibility is an official document required for all international students in order for you to apply for an F1 student visa to enter the U.S. The following are requirements for the I-20 certificate. And again, any documents related to international students should be issued or sent to dso@uws.edu. So what will be required is a completed I-20 application. There are links on our website to that application, but additionally, I will email you those once you have been accepted into the program. Now, this is a very important component to your application, which is evidence of sufficient funding to cover the cost of one academic year at UWS. You do not need to show proof of funding for the entire program. Simply one academic year is what is required to satisfy the visa requirement. And so evidence of funding can include, but not limited to, original bank statement or letter on bank letterhead, original letter from a bank showing line of credit, original scholarship award letter, national government or provincial aid loan and grant award letters, and original bank account statement. And then additionally, we'll need a copy of a passport photo page. So after an I-20 document is issued, once you receive that from me, all international students apply for F1 status are required to pay what essentially is a SEVIS fee, and a SEVIS is the Student Exchange and Visitor Information System. There is a required payment to the U.S. federal government, and you do need to print out a copy of that receipt. That receipt's very important. So proof of payment is required before going to a U.S. consulate for a visa interview and required when you cross the border into the United States. Now, this is an important note as well. Canadian citizens do not need to visit a consulate for an interview to obtain a student visa. Simply, the issued, completed, and signed I-20 certificate that you will receive will serve as your visa to cross the border here to the U.S. Now, F1 student visas are allowed to enter the United States, so I just said this, with an issued I-20 document and a SEVIS payment receipt within 30 days of class. So essentially, you can enter the country 30 days prior to the program start, allowing you to move in and get settled before we get going. Timeline. Overall, what you can expect is in June, UWS publishes the academic year's cost of attendance, which does include tuition. After that, cost of tuition information has been, cost of attendance information has been published. You can schedule a consultation with myself, or I will also have some scheduled info sessions to review all requirements and process of obtaining your I-20. At least 2 months before programs start, we recommend submitting your I-20 application, your financial documents, and a copy of your passport photo. And then once you have submitted that, you can and completed all conditions of acceptance, generally your academic requirements are satisfied, we can then issue an I-20 certificate. You pay your I-901 SEVIS fee, and that's the one you want to print off to take to the consulate, or you'll need a copy of that when you cross the border. Again, just to highlight there, Canadians are not required to have an appointment with the consulate for your student visa. Now, tips. One of the big tips we recommend is visiting Study in the States website. That is a government-sponsored website. You can see the URL there, studyinthestates.dhs.gov. That is really going to have everything you need to know as an international student from A to Z. As part of that, you want to know the government aid requirements and timeline for your country and province. A lot of that is going to be covered there, the Study in the States website. And lastly, schedule a consultation with the UWS DSO once cost of attendance information has been updated. We are here to support you throughout this process. It seems very granular, but I assure you, once you review the process, you know what's required, it can be a very quick process to get your I-20.
Great. Thank you, Stephen. Now we'll just briefly kind of just chat about Portland. I know as international students, you'll be moving here. Maybe you've visited before, but maybe you haven't. Or maybe you have a friend that goes to UWS and is familiar with the area. But we just can't speak highly enough about Portland. I've lived here the past like 15 years now and have just absolutely loved it. To have tried a different coffee shop every Saturday on my little morning walks with my dog in the neighborhood I'm at. And it's so fun to just try different restaurants and have food trucks and city life and all of that, and lots of free activities and parks and just things really close by. I think especially as you're in a rigorous program like chiropractic and be spending a lot of time in class or studying, it can be so nice to have the area you're living in be somewhere you can really enjoy, get outside, do some different activities. We're only about an hour, hour and a half from the mountain if you like skiing or snowboarding or just going to play in the snow, but also only about an hour, hour and a half from the beach. So lots of different, just great things about Portland. Um, Stephen, Gretchen, do you guys have any like restaurant recommendations or things that you really love about Portland?
I really
Well,
love everything you already said. The proximity to the outdoor recreation is amazing. I do love, I think my hobby is eating out. One of my main hobbies is eating out, and there's no shortage of great options. We are known as a food city, and I do like the occasional beer, and we have great pubs and wineries as well. And I think I'm a big cyclist, and it is a bit cliche, but getting around Portland and the surrounding areas on bicycle is probably one of the best ways to get around.
and I would say adding to the food scene are all our food carts. So I don't have a favorite restaurant necessarily because it's all about the food carts around here. And then while you won't probably have a lot of time to read, I do have to mention Powell's City of Books, which
Mm-hmm.
is the world's largest independent bookstore. It is 4 stories, one city block full of new and used books. So it's pretty amazing.
Yes, I love that. I did want to note too, I know the housing discussion can be just a big topic when you're thinking about, joining a chiropractic program, relocating. So myself and Stephen, the rest of the missions team, are always happy to help answer any questions, provide you some resources for housing recommendations, neighborhoods, all of that good stuff. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions at all or want suggestions. We also have a great running list of food recommendations we can give you too, so you can, get familiar with the city. And then we also wanted to note that there's several ways to connect. So if you want to reach out to any of us, we're always happy to answer questions and are making yourselves available. But we also have some great options here. So once you're an admitted student, so you've been accepted to the program, we do have Facebook groups, so you can connect with your cohort virtually and start connecting that way. So that's a great thing to get access to once you're accepted. And then if you don't have that or want to join, feel free to reach out to admissions to get that link to request to join. And then for some other options for connection, I always like to highlight our student ambassador. They help provide tours for campus, just answer any student questions or prospective student questions. So feel free to email studentambassador@uws.edu to chat with one of our current students if you have any questions at all. He's also from Canada, so it's a great opportunity to connect with someone that has gone down the same exact road that you're thinking about going down, answering any questions that you may have for that process as well. And then we have a great community on campus, like I mentioned, so we're always happy to connect you with our faculty. The dean of the chiropractic program, Dr. Kaiser, is always making herself available, happy to meet with you or answer questions. So feel free to contact admissions or your admissions counselor directly, and we'll get you connected with either her or another faculty on campus. And then that's it for now. It's a short video. We just wanted to cover some basics, some things to really know or tips to be aware of as you are pursuing being an international student for an on-campus program. But if you have any additional questions or want to connect with us, feel free to reach out to admissions, and we'd be happy to meet with you.